Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 106. Sonic Rain Boof. Part 4. Some of the greatest Pegasi in history came from Cloudsdale. Rainbow Dash continued the tour of her hometown with a few bits of added commentary by Fluttershy. Ross was missing most of it, as the number of mares they passed shouting at him or whistling only went up as they progressed. As dense as the moondog/pony could be, he could easily tell what these mares wanted, even the ones that were not blatant with their innuendo. Frankly, he was ready to see if he could just fly back to Ponyville, or at least duck back into his balloon to get away from it. Still, Rainbow Dash seemed excited to be showing them around, so for now he decided to simply ignore them and go along with the tour. What Ross didn't notice was the near-constant shimmering of his sister's horn as she added a few more spells here and there on top of the ones she was already maintaining. A few mid-air collisions with clouds, traffic light changes, sudden thunderbolts, and downpours kept the more persistent mares away from her brother. Spike was just amused by all of it and planned to tease them both mercilessly later. So then, don't suppose this tour includes the weather factory? Rather curious about where some of my tax bits go. Applejack stated. Great idea. Rainbow Dash smiled. I bet I can get us in on a tour group. They tend to offer those to school foals every so often. Should be a cinch to get one for some ground-bound ponies. Asterisk. This is where they make the snowflakes. Dash explained to the others. The group of them were all wearing hard hats and work coats, and Dash's rank as head of Ponyville weather team allowed her to conduct the tour. Though the mare at the PPE supply had somehow managed to give Ross a coat that was nearly as small as the one on Spike, thus leaving him moderately uncovered as she drooled over his flank. The group had then left before the sudden swarm of living coats got more of them than just the supply mare. Of course, the group of mares who had been following behind them to stare at Ross caused more than enough issue. With their extra wings in the room, the snowflake technicians were sent scrambling to catch their work as the breeze stirred up sent everything flying. The tour group left quickly, leaving Ross's last group of followers behind to help clean up after one of the snowflake management team caught them out of their assigned areas. Asterisk. And this is where they make the rainbow. Rainbow Dash smirked. Pinkie Pie looked around skeptically as if expecting rejected Pegasi or something like that before shrugging and dipping her hoof into the main pool before giving the rainbow a taste. Not Soylent Green, but Gehaha Spicy, the mare shrieked, turning a multitude of colors before running off towards the cafeteria to find milk. Yet, rainbows are not known for their flavor. Dash chuckled. There you are, shouted a voice. The group looked over, seeing a trio of familiar stallions stomping towards them. I thought the stupidity quota in here had gotten low, seems some pony decided to balance it out. Twilight deadpanned. You got a lot of nerve with that stunt you pulled, the Tan One snapped. Is that a grammatically correct use of the word you? Spike asked. No, Rarity chimed in. You's gonna pay for that garbage you dumped on us flunkies, the brown one growled. Ross's long ears twitched a bit at that before he fluttered over before the brown one. Excuse me. Not to interrupt your rampant idiocy, but did you just threaten my sister, my brother, and our friends? Ross asked far too calmly. What of it, freak? I'm taking you down a peg too, the brown one snapped. Ross smiled at that. Now, up until this point, every pony had thought the poison joke turned Ross fully into a earth pony stallion. However, the brown Pegasus discovered that Ross's teeth were still very much those of a moondog. Very pointy, and very sharp. Poison joke was not often subtle with its humor. Oh buck, was all the Tan One managed before the transformed moondog reacted to their threat. Asterisk. Well, so much for the weather factory tour. Applejack sighed as the group walked along the cloud-made streets of the city. It's fine. That was nearly the whole thing anyway. All you missed out on was the rain room, and they haven't pulled the water up just yet anyway, so nothing's going on there. Dash shrugged. We still have time to catch a bite to eat before the competition. Perhaps that will calm Fluttershy down. Rarity asked as she glanced back at the yellow mare sitting on Pinkie Pie's back, hiding completely in her mane. It wasn't even that bad. Spike rolled his eyes. Nothing's broken and they weren't even bleeding. Granted, they are rainbow-colored now. Fluttershy's very sensitive. Pinkie Pie explained. Plus, even I want to forget that fight. I mean, he was hitting that one guy, with the other guy. Ross had leverage. Twilight shrugged. Plus you were the one who was yelling at him to stop hitting himself when Ross got a hold of his tail. Ross flitted along behind them, simply grinning wider. He was feeling a great deal better about this trip after the second encounter with the bullies allowed him to work off some built-up aggression. Behind the group, however, the size of Ross's followers had spread to nearly every single mare who was nearby, and the numbers were growing as the group walked along. Being a former warrior race and watching one pony trounce 3 others, 2 of them larger than he was, jump-started quite a number of Pegasi mares' new obsessions in the odd Pegasus. Asterisk. Spike narrowed his eyes looking across the counter. The cream-colored pony Pegasus stallion with brown hair, green eyes, and a pink frosted donut cutie mark looked back a bit nervously under the dragon's scrutiny. The massive horde of mares outside didn't help either. The others had gotten their food and moved to the table they picked out, though Spike was staring at the shopkeeper, who was doing his best to try not to look worried about holding the purple drake's attention. "A Pegasus. Hey? Show. Hey," Spike stated. Yet, all my life." Pony Joe muttered, starting to feel a little ill. "Never been to Canterlot, hey?" Spike frowned. "Can't say I have." Joe offered, glancing at all the ponies plastered to the windows, taking note of a few stallions who were staring in now too. "Yet you knew I wanted extra sprinkles." Spike growled. "You don't." Joe chuckled. Spike took his donut, looking up at the stallion. "I'm on to you, Joe," Spike accused, pointing to his eyes, then at the pony before backing away to the table. "Who'd have thought there was a Pony Joe's in Cloudsdale too?" Twilight offered, trying to ignore the fact that Ross had discovered the true taste of donuts nearby and had promptly started to try and clean out Joe's inventory. Author's note: I'm watching the episode as I progress and they do meet the bullies again, but they're flirting with Rarity. For those of you who do not know the story Pinkie Pie was referencing, I envy you. End author's note. End chapter 106. Sonic Rain Boof. Part 4.